Make sure your phone's off too. In order to define an era, you have to first take those steps en route to greatness. For both these clubs, multiple reserve and first grade grand final accolades have not just got that ball rolling, but helped both gain momentum as they storm towards greatness and an era-defining legacy. There is no hiding the truth. This is a clash of the Laing Simmons Blacktown Men's Premier League 1 Titans. It is Blacktown Workers and it's Marayong FC. Two clubs whose players have helped craft the very fabric of what it means to be successful since the turn of the decade. So, strap yourselves in. Now, I'm always up for a bit of the theatrics in these early intros, but I don't think that this game really needs much more of an introduction. Let's turn these trusty intros into something a bit more conversational. Gratefully, we're joined tonight by the awesome Brandon Ford, once again donning the mic to help cover a match of the round. It was only less than a month ago since he was last on. Brandon, we've got a couple of minutes to go, so let's always use these minutes to chat. Let's cover all the bases, but firstly, just generally, thanks for being here, and how are your excitement levels ahead of this one?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Look, it's exciting to be back here. It's an honour and a privilege to be back, and I'm very excited for this one. For today's fixture, there are always big matchups between these two sides, and this one will be a tough and physical match. Although I'm not playing and cannot add to my match of the round goals against Marayong, I'm still excited to be here and play my part in a different format.
Well, it's obviously a shame to not have you kicking the balls into the back of the net, as you always did when the cameras were on. Your tally, if you include assists, I think was above 7. We ended up agreeing on at some point a couple of weeks ago. Now, the teams are being called out, so we'll have to be a little bit hasty in how we deal with this. But let's start where you and I left off. Workers are either about to be the victims or the victors of the match of the round scheduling, where 2 games are going to happen on the camera in the space of a month. They went down 7-2 in one of the most insane games in recent history inside a month ago. This is the chance to rectify it. For you as a Workers fan, what was the come down of that Ponds game like for you?
It was a tough one to watch. In a game so greatly contested from the start to then follow through for the final scoreline, I was definitely feeling the pain that the players were after such a big scoreline. I've been on the end of some big scorelines, both wins and losses, but that game definitely stung and probably surprised a lot of teams.
Not a lot of time, I should say, to turn it around. A week off, then a Quakers game. But to be fair, they won 3-2. Rivaldo, Reddy and Bazina scored the winner. 30 minutes were played with 10 men that day. The winner actually coming after Tasham Reddy was sent off. How important do you think that victory was to settle any of those nerves for those old boys of yours?
Look, it's a very important and crucial win to boost morale for the boys. To go down to 10 men and still find a winner shows true character and shows the heart of this Workers team.
So let's get into what's ahead of us. Marayong, I know you love a match against the Marayong, and to those of you who don't know, the Resi's Grand Final of 2023 was won by the outside of the left foot of Brandon Ford to my right. Do you think these boys can take it to the 3-time straight premiers in the first grade?
I'd love to see him do a three-peat. It's something that hasn't really been done before, especially in my time that's been playing. So it'd be really, really interesting to see, especially with the game we just saw before here. Obviously, it wasn't on a live stream, but we got to watch a pretty crucial 2-2 draw between Marayong and Workers. So that's been their kind of clash over the last few years. But who doesn't love to score a grand final goal?
Now, there are some fantastic things about to be revealed here. So let's go into it as the two teams are walking out. From a tactical standpoint, this is going to be interesting because there are some huge omissions to the squad today. What do you know? What can you reveal to us?
Well, I've been told as soon as I got here that big player Kelvin Afori is not playing today, and a couple other players you'll go through in the lineup. So that's already the hugest part of today's lineup that we're going to see here.
I think I remember hearing you say that you'd planned something about how to basically nullify him, shut him down, but that becomes almost irrelevant now because the man is in Canberra, we've been told. You've obviously come up against him once or twice in your time, but also they're missing Ryan Colborne at the base of their midfield. They're starting an 18-year-old in midfield right now. Before we go through it in full, that's not the Marayong midfield that has led them to a couple of straight premierships.
No, definitely not. It's a few key players left out there. And another one you have mentioned, Wal Reese not playing as well. So that is a huge centre-back in their mix that's going to be missing as well today. So a couple of young players stepping in, a couple of new players, a couple of fresh players. It'll be interesting to see how they turn this game around and go on the back of what they've been going for the last few weeks.
Well, let's get into those lineups now. So we'll start with your workers. Boys have, of course, been captained by Brendan Bazina out there right now. If you haven't left a like on the live stream, whether on Facebook or YouTube, please feel free to do so. Also leave a live chat because we'll respond to them in time, as we did last time we were here as well. Benny Dow Keith into his 4th year as a man between the sticks for workers. Obviously, as we talked about last week, came in the match of the round after his previous, I should say, first choice goalkeeper was actually injured in a match of the round, and since then he's grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and also become an all-star since then. In front of him is his brother, older brother of 4 years, Chris Dow Keith. Next to him is also another exercise physiologist, by the way, in Blake Ford, your brother, by the way. Now, Taylor Redden hasn't started a match of the round since the 12-0 win over Riverstone, by the way, despite the fact he has featured in some. He'll start alongside James Appiah in the 24 jersey to round out a makeshift but still strong back four. Ibi Swedown, Brendan Bazina and Ahmed Badan is meant to make up potentially a 4-3-3 midfield three, although I have heard if it switches to a 4-4-2, it would push Ahmed Badat further forward next to either Rivaldo or Ryan Fitzgerald, whose solidity is preferred up top. Chris Wicks will also be amongst that. So whether it's a 4-4-2 or 4-3-3, we don't know. Now, I'm going to go quickly into Marayong's as well because we are about to start. It's a first match of the round performance in prospect for Oscar Osei, who came here from overseas this year, a brand new international signing of a Ghanaian background, as many of these Marayong boys are turning out to be. Of course, the connections run strong. Dylan Owusu will wear the number 2 back among the match of the rounds. We know how good he is, arguably player for player, and he is positioned the best player in the league. Josh Ross is also among the fullbacks tonight, as Nathan Samatua, at the ripe old age of 36, is still amongst it. It's the match of the round debut for 23-year-old Dante Suarez in the 22 jersey. Now, here is the 3-10 attacking midfield of Ayman Abdullah Sul from the 21s, who's only 18 years old. Straight away a foul, by the way. Mubarak Saeed in the 11, and brand new, fresh signing from the MPL space of prospect, Ethan Kerrick, Paddy Haloka, Michael Cody, and another Michael in Michael Osei Adamako in the 19 jersey rounds out the rest of the Marayong side. Plenty of new names to learn here tonight. Of course, Michael Osei Adamako, who also shares the first name of his hyphenated surname with the goalkeeper Oscar in net. There's a lot to get your head around there, so don't worry, I'm doing it alongside with you as well. But there's certainly a good player there in Michael, just 24 years old, but he's the guy who scored the first goal against Central Coast United in the Australia Cup, by the way. So plenty of good running in his boots.
That's a huge confidence booster as well, to score against the NPL side. That just really shows the potential he has and what he can do for this Marayong side.
Michael Cody has picked up some 70-odd goal contributions in his last 3 years of Premier League football, although, yes, it has to be said that about half of them came from his stint in 21s when he was probably the player of that competition. Now up into his second full year in first grade football. It's going to be former All-Star and should have been an assist-making All-Star in Mubarak Saeed, who will deliver this ball in. It's Marayong with the early ascendancy in terms of the momentum. Tough here for James Appiah and Rivaldo to stand in the way of a man who can hit a free kick quite hard, although I imagine he'll loop this over them. It's gone very deep towards the back stick. Benny thought about coming, didn't. There was a head on there, I think. And in the end, over and out, and not to be a worry.
Yeah, interesting start, the way that they've set up for that. We saw last time in the match of the round with the Pons game, offset pieces, how dangerous they were. So we got to see something a little bit different here, the way Marayong set up for their set pieces. And they're lacking, not having Walreese in there, the height of their team. So it'll be good few matches up because a lot of them are quite the same height.
A couple cool things to mention as well. Firstly, thank you to our friends who bring us these recordings each week, the live streams at Spot On, because we have a brand new scoreboard to go with us today. Crisp and clean, like it very much. But also, we're going to slowly drip feed to you the results from around the grounds and give you a live table update at the end of the evening. So stick around for that because we're still getting those sent to us as we speak. But there's some big ones, including in the two teams towards the bottom of the table in PL1, who have had a very, very interesting game across both grades, to be fair. But stick around because we're not going to reveal it just yet. James Appiah wins that back. Brendan Bazina, an equal Player of the Year winner in 2022, scored the winner, I should say, last week against Quakers Juniors as well. Was actually really good in the Pons game, it should be said.
Correct, yes. He nullified. He had a lot of battles in there with Avery, and it just solidified that middle of the park with what happened there. He did have a few shots in the game, did have a few big tackles, but let's just see him in this capacity in against another strong side like Marayong.
Exactly right. Having a first look at Oscar Osei in goal for Marayong. Yes, it's his match of the round debut, but he's already played a couple as well. His debut was against Pons, it should be said, so that's a pretty stark way to start. But the first look at his ball-playing abilities just then off the left foot, it was clipped out here wide, and if it wasn't for a poor touch by Mubi, he would have actually had a successful pass to his name as Rivaldo does some pressure there on Dylan Owusu. Dylan Owusu, I make no shame in hiding, have no shame in hiding the thoughts I have about that guy. He's preferred as a centre-back these days, still returning to full fitness, I would say, from a year and a half off of injuries around his ankles and at one point his hamstring as well.
Yeah, we'll get to see him really settle in here alongside a few of these new long-term players, but new-term players in sense of who they might be playing alongside.
Interesting to see Mubarak Saeed currently over both of the free kicks so far as Dalkeith steps in and Halaka strikes a goal! Oh, what a start! What a sensational start! Paddy Halaka picks up a match of the round goal, and it came from seemingly nothing. An under-hit clearance came straight to him, got it out of his feet, and tucked it into the bottom left-hand corner with consummate ease. And we said to expect goals, we've got it inside the first 4, but I don't think anyone expected it to come as easily as Halaka just found it off his right. The coolest man on the park.
I don't think he was expecting it to really go through, Ben, from that angle there as well. Obviously, it's right in the centre of the park and it's a turn and a hit, but we didn't actually expect to see that dribble all the way into that bottom left-hand corner.
Dalkeith got something on it. In fact, he didn't even take a touch. He just hit it first time.
No, it was just a quick, just saw where the keeper was and maybe just put his foot through it. And that's all it takes sometimes.
That's exactly right. And the only reason that the former Glenwood-based Golden Boot winner of yesteryear is still back here in Australia is because he had a knee injury and decided to come home. He was playing in Europe at a bunch of different local and semi-professional level clubs. He's back here. He's among the goals. He picked up 8 goals and 8 assists from 16 starts last year, so it was an exactly equal tally. And he's picked up 1 here tonight as well.
This is another early start to this fixture and for the match of the round. Now we get to see how workers are going to line up for a set piece.
Rivaldo standing over it, who, by the way, has started alongside Ahmed Badat as a striker, it does seem. What's his set piece delivery like? Towards the front post and Wicks! Probably should have got that on target. It was difficult, but a chance that goes begging.
Yeah, near close angle there. Not much you can really do about it. Had his back to the goal. Just a little flick on. All it needs, I mean, we saw the first goal. All it needs is a little touch, and you never know where it's going to go.
Was it the underside of the boot there? I think it
was on the top side.
Okay. Should mention as well that the last 4 meetings between these two teams at first grade level has ended with an aggregate score of 16-4 in Marayong's favour. There's been 1 draw and 3 wins in favour to those who wear green. That is pretty stark, I'd have to say, as Marayong look to play their way out from their own goal kick. This will come here to Mubarak Saeed. Looks like they're almost maybe employing a bit of a 4-4-2 at the moment. Michael Cody is quick. So is someone quite close to you as well. Picked up here by Joshua Ross. Bazina was the one who closed him down. Straight into the midsection, if you like, of, I think, Michael Osei Adomako. And he's going to fill that one, not just tonight, but tomorrow as well. Now, were they stopping that for a drop ball to check on his well-being, or was there a handball to baby? No, Marayong's got a free kick.
Yeah, it's swapped to what they thought it was there. Bit of an interesting little tussle of what just happened there.
Andrew Batley, our referee here tonight, has not been on the match of the round in a long while, that is for sure. Although I think I'm looking at Craig Balcombe, who's taken the centre. Either way, struck towards goal by Josh Ross, and that was a testament to my all-age men's 7 effort about 3 hours ago, actually.
That was a well-shot way over the bar. Look, not much you can do about those ones. Just to put it on target, you never know what's going to happen.
Forgive me, it is going to be Craig Balcombe out through the centre. Had a quick double check out on the pitch. I thought that looked a little bit different to Andrew Batley. Was the referee in Marayong's midweek match, by the way, where they went down in the Australia Cup. Their journey there comes to an end. Rivaldo threatening. I think that was cleared by Mubi Saeed. Ayman Abdul Rasul coming up against Brendan Bazina there. There's 10 years of football playing at the highest level, at local leagues, I should say, between them. We'll see how he turns up. Was sent off, Ayman Abdul Rasul, in the 21s Grand Final of 2023. They won, though. They then won it the next year as well, twice against the same opposition in Quakers Hill Tigers. Twice he was pivotal going forward. But how will he fare in first grade? Well, some might point to his goal when he scored at Harvey Park, the home of Marayong. He actually scored off of the bench. It was provided by Aaron Trevathan, who recently was just involved in a boxing match, by the way. Didn't know that was in his locker. Also scores grand final free kicks before you got amongst it.
Oh.
Any excuse to mention it, my friend.
Yes, well, love to score in the grand final. Love to score a goal.
Blake Ford to find James Appiah now, formerly of Spartans, has played in every single position bar goalkeeper for Workers in just his 3 years here. Will be forced back to close down on Osei Adomako. Well, snuffed out here, picked up by Dylan Owusu, who is the coach of the Ghana African Cup side that play out at Wanderers Park. Mubisai, it looks like he's almost playing as a right back who drifts into midfield, depending on who has the ball.
Right back.
Well, he's played there. We know that. Marayong's last match of the round when they went out to Doonside in the preliminary final, he featured as a fullback. Didn't have, I would say, his strongest game, but it's not his strongest position. We'll see how he's adjusted in the time since then. These boys having to pick it up after a midweek game, though, that's really difficult. It went to Pens, by the way.
Yeah, long fixture, especially when it goes to Pens. You're tired, your feet get sore, you're cramping up, you never know what's going to be the next thing that happens from those games. But look, penalties, I mean, I'm not going to talk about them because we've lost 3 years in a row on penalties, but
Marayong's last 2 penalty shootouts date 5 years between them, and they both ended up being losses for them. Chance at maybe a pot shot, I thought there. It'll come now from distance. It was blocked by one of their own. Wicks puts it back into the danger area, and it should be cleared, and is, by Dylan Owusu. Carrick, Ethan Carrick, who's come from prospect NPL. Had he have gone down, Diao Keith would have been on a yellow. But on he goes with the hopes of scoring a goal. Osei Adomako gets on the ball, gets past his oppressor. Look at the burst of pace. Cuts it back across the face, didn't get enough on it, cleared away. Wicks doing his best to try and barge his way into the challenge. Really well dealt with, I think, by Dante Suarez on that far side.
Yeah, Workers are quite lucky there. They had a few extra trailing Marayong players coming in behind there. They were lucky that the pass didn't quite get off into that drop zone, and it was cleared away.
So another set piece to be delivered in. It's Marayong, who not only have the ascendancy on the scoreboard, but in terms of the momentum as well. Ball delivered in. This is what led to the first goal of the game. 3 Workers players in tandem should be able to clear that one. They do. Back to Mubarak Saeed. A 3-time African Cup winner, most recently with South Sudan. Sent him behind. This will be easy for Oscar Osei if it gets to him eventually through Mubarak. Oh, living dangerously. Well, he's actually nicknamed Onana, by the way, but I've heard he's even better with his feet.
You can already see that. Much better than
Very
Onana.
confident.
Oh, definitely. Such a modern way of playing goalkeeping these days.
Isn't it great to watch when it comes off well? Cody beaten by Appiah, but illegally so by the latter.
There's just some small little niggles in between it that are getting pulled up for free kicks here. So it's shifting the game a lot. The last game we saw here with Pons and Workers, there's a lot of back and forth, very fast pace. There's a lot of stoppages here with these free kicks, just slowing it down a little bit, getting field position. But they've got to find those pockets that they need to, and they've just picked one right here.
Ayman Abdul Rasul. Taken off of him. This should be big. And it was. And it will be Workers' ball, a bit of pressure alleviated off of them.
They've got to stay hungry for this ball. Both sides got to stay hungry and get be on and off the ball.
Like that.
Like that.
And they've
that
kept it, although it might
athleticism.
come to their detriment. But thankfully, they have a man whose ball-playing abilities, despite the fact he's wearing gloves between the sticks, has been tested and tested true so far. He's done very well. This is Dante Suarez with Wicks behind him. Back it goes to Oscar Osei again. Look, with the greatest respect to probably the greatest Premier League keeper of the last 20 years, Dean Kenny Rogers, that wasn't something he necessarily had in his locker. He could pull out a save from absolutely anywhere, but it looks like this has added a level of interplay out the back for Marayong. Good signing, it seems.
Yes, definitely. Nice and fresh.
Stepping in well, I believe that's Owusu on the far side. Did Wicks foul him? No, so it will be Workers' ball. Up comes Dow Keith. You could argue he might already have had a yellow card to his name. Fortuitously got away with it. It's cleared away by Owusu and picked up here by Osei Adomako. Now it is, I should say. It was Cody who was involved.
Big
50-50,
shoulder to shoulder.
illegally so. How much shoulder are you allowed to use in the barge? The answer is not that much.
Marayong bench was up for that straight away. Not happy with that decision.
Considering the lack of knees on that technical area, I'm surprised how quickly those guys got out of their chairs. Fairly certain there's -3 ACLs right there between those three. All right, Blake Ford standing over this. The most frequent penalty taker in the history of the match of the round. And it's been cleared away, I do believe, for a corner. Big call this one. Just a goal kick in the end.
Yeah, definitely just slipped off Chris Dalkeith's head there. Bit of a direct ball into the middle. Not much they could do off that one.
So should we talk about some things that have happened around the grounds today?
I think we should.
How about you start us off? Which match would you like to talk about first?
Well, let's talk towards the lower half that's bringing us up to that. We've had Tigers and Polonia play. The first grade had a 2-all draw.
I might actually interrupt you here, forgive me, because I say Adomiko is trailing down that right-hand side, and it just came across Ben Dalkeith's goal. And fortunately for him, it was actually a poorly hit cross that's eventuated in just a goal kick.
It had a lot of curve on you. Didn't know if that was actually going to go to that far stick and dip into the bottom corner. That was such a rapid play down the side.
I'm wondering if the ball actually went out before it was crossed in, which is why it looked so flashy across the face. So he actually pretty much, you have to say, he did well to hook it back, considering he was in dead zones. But yes, let's talk about that result now.
Yes, so we had 2-all draw between Tigers and Polonia, and the reserve grade was a Polonia 1-0 win. So that shakes things up right at the bottom half of that club championship, with unfortunately leaving Tigers with 0 points, and Polonia just stepping away with a little bit with a couple extra points there. Obviously not the big 9 points they need from that first grade, so Tigers holding them up to a 2-all draw was what they probably needed in that clash towards the bottom. Another big one is a 2-0 win for Doonside over Rivo.
And who scored those 2 goals?
We had Byron Grandamage score, and he scored for Doonside this time.
Chance here, which was saved sharply by Ben Dalkeith. A snapshot that ended up just about being saved by Benny Dalkeith. He was so pivotal, so pivotal in keeping that score, quote-unquote, respectable a couple of weeks ago. That was a really good save to stop them from going down by 2.
Yeah, they're finding the strength in there just to try and keep those balls out, especially after that first hiccup right at the beginning.
It was Holoko who would have doubled his advantage. His side's advantage, I should say. Forgive me for interrupting. So we know what's happening towards the bottom of the table. We know what's now happened with Doonside, who have clicked into gear since round 1, which means that a Marayong win today, well, I should say a Marayong loss today would actually put Doonside equal on points with them. We've got some scouts here as well. Looks like Pons have turned up to watch. There's a chance here if Oscar Osei doesn't get back to his goal. Pons, of course, are going to play tomorrow against the Quakers Hill Juniors. Last time those two played, it was a 10-goal game, and I think about 7 of them, I do believe, my memory serves me correctly, was scored by Fardod Sanjakani, who was pretty helpful the other day too when these two teams played. Taylor Redden at the back.
It's going to be a big fixture, that game tomorrow. It's going to be very different for a lot of these guys playing on Sundays. You normally play cup games on Sundays for the Premier League, but it'd be interesting playing a league game after having seen what results happened from today, moving into tomorrow. Middle of the day, not too bad, but it's going to be a quality game between those two sides.
Big step in there by Chris Dalkeith. A little touch off the ball on Ethan Kerrick. That wasn't very nice. Rivaldo knows it too, but he's also urging his team to just slow down. Just a quick question your way. You can answer this however you like, of course, but Riverston and Quakers Hill Juniors, are they in a little bit of trouble?
It's hard to say. It's too early in the season.
Media trained to answer that one.
That is good thing I've had a few podcasts under my belt. It's the way that those teams play. They've had a few results go either way so far, and it's very, very early in the season. I was just saying before, you can't really predict these things. Depends who you're coming up against. Depends on the time of the day, because there's a lot of fixtures that chop and change around. So
there's a chance here for Ethan Kerrick on his match of the round debut. Storms past Appiah, who then recovered excellently.
It's too early in the season to tell for these, for those, especially those two teams. They're the ones we probably want to be fighting for that 4th position. And we've seen some of their results so far. Obviously, the first big one for Quakers Hill Juniors against Doonside in that first game. So it'll be really interesting to see how they want to play going into these next couple of rounds, which will help shape the ladder. going forward.
A corner here for Marayong, who I'm about to ask you some questions about because it's been impressive so far. Deep towards the back stick, there was a header that came in. And it was searching for the opposite corner as to where he was standing, and it went over, and it always looked like it was. But I tell you what, obviously, it's too early in the season to call who's going to go up, who's going to go down, who's going to make finals. It's probably too early in the game to say who's going to win this one. However, Marayong, considering the fact that they're playing 3 10s in midfield, are doing some pretty fancy things so far.
You can see it the way that they're setting up. They're picking these players out. They're finding the workers' players they need to pinch and pick out from that middle there. But sometimes you can see where they fall apart with like number 10s. They're sort of falling apart in a few spaces where then workers are picking up that ball to win it back.
No Kelvin Ofori for one team, but no Danny McDougall for the other. No Lachlan Precious either for those in black and white. Those are some huge omissions from both teams. Impossible to ignore the number 8 of Marayong, the 2-time reigning player of the year, 1-time goal of the year winner. However, Danny Mack, most recently an All-Star, Lockie Precious, multiple times as he got on the score sheet or the assist charts in a match of the round as well. Both of them missing. Both of them love golf. Tidy work and a really good turn of the body there to try and attract the foul in a tight space. Ayman Abdul Rasul has done a really stellar job there. Well, we made such an impression when it came off of the bench for Marayong, although that throw-in was a little bit questionable. But the number 7, by the way, the cheek to have the number 7, which he picked up as a 16-year-old, is amazing. But Chris Wicks hasn't scored on the match since the Rivo 12-0. Ahmed Badat! Mashed it in! He's waited so long for a match of the round goal, the former Golden Boot winner. He picked up 2 against Pons, and his first from open play is one of the strikes of the season so far.
That is huge. You could see he wanted to take a touch. He wanted to take the touch, but let it line up, saw where the keeper was. And this is all about it. You've got to put your foot through the ball. That's a great shot. Top right. His angle probably was hitting that top right-hand corner. That's a great turnaround.
Forgive me, Chris Wicks has scored 6 goals and now his 3rd assist in match of the round games. He is one of the most prolific goal scorers when the camera is running and the lights are pouring down on the pitch. And workers, with all the questions being asked of them and all of the omissions in their midfield, have just stood up to the 3-time straight premiers and said, we're still in this one. And we have an even bigger game on our hands, it seems. It's just taken up a notch. Although Osei Anomako is straight into the box off kickoff, and it's been cleared. Really, really tidy work in defence there. What a belter of a shot.
That was a huge shot. That was massive.
Michael Cody now onto his right foot across the face of Goldale Keith. Thought he might have steered that into his own net.
That was a bit of a weird angle from here. Already the change. You can sense the atmosphere change already just from that goal. I can feel the tense from the players from up here.
You know, Ahmed Badat, by the way, came on the podcast, and I put it to him, how long is it going to take for you to hit your absolute best Golden Boot-esque form for this club? And he said, Mark, damn you, I already am. And I tell you what, right there in that moment, he's shown it.
Definitely proved it, that's for sure.
And the Alan Shearer celebration as well was a touch of class by the 23-year-old. You know, Ahmed Badat, little fun fact for you, he plays for Hawkesbury Cricket Club, and in 2022 of December of 2022, I should say, he picked up a ton with the bat. So he's a match of the round goal scorer. He scores with the bat. He'd be a pretty popular figure around these parts in multiple codes of sport, it seems.
Like I said last match of the round, this is the striker that they're looking for. Nullifying, scoring every week, getting those goals.
Something's brewing here with Appiah. Cuts back.
Cut in behind.
Oh, ball in behind. A chance to go in front. Oh. Was there a save by Oscar Osei? There was. He's as hyped as we are. This is turning into one of those match of the round games to remember already.
You can already see the confidence and a difference from the players coming in. That little ball in behind from Appiah, and then the keeper coming out straight away. That's what they have to do. Nullifying that spot. Didn't know where that ball was going to go at first, but that was...
Look at this. The beautiful reversal comes here to the left of Badat. Oh, that's a bit dodge. He's lost his shoe. Oh, poorly Cochinota. Mamma mia, what are you doing, my friend?
Probably didn't see that one on the camera. That was out of view. He's gone to launch the ball. He's been given 10 in the bin by Shia Chakal.
He's hit the physio, poor madam. Hope she's okay. Ball comes in. There's a game still to watch here. And it's gone at least away from danger for the time being. Put back in towards the mixer. Up and away, finally, from Marayong. To the edge of the box here, Ibi Swedan, formerly of St. Pat's, formerly of Ponds, wants to have a big game here. Pass inside, cleared away it seems. Marayong trying to counter, taken off them by an invigorated Workers side. Rivaldo against his former club. Cut past one, ineffectively though, one back on him. He's now won it back, being closed down by two. Shia Chakal, the co-coach of Marayong, said that they had a plan to stop him on the podcast. A shake of the hand between him and Josh Ross, and all is good in the world.
Great effort there to try and win the ball back. But it was getting pretty dicey there. He lost the ball. The ref's coming in to have a little word here with Riv.
Rivaldo's already got a yellow to his name this year. This is his second consecutive start. He scored the first goal for Workers last week. His first goal in the league for Workers. Although he's not being spoken to for the little kick out, I think he's wearing some jewellery.
Wearing some jewellery.
Now, Rivaldo is all party at all hours.
And he is pumped up for this game. He is pumped up for this game.
Free kick, Marayong. That'll heap some pressure on this Workers side, who, by the way, this home crowd is right behind them. Can you believe the 25 minutes have just flown on by?
I can't. I can't believe it. And it's 1-1. Similar scoreline to what it was last time around this part, but much, much different game this time around.
Feels like it, doesn't it? It feels like Marayong and Workers are far more evenly poised here. Josh Rossi struck the last one. This one's dinked in, backspin, cleared. Dal Keith, under 16s girls coach out of Blacktown City, former AYL 14s coach and grand final appearance maker. Header by Haloka, and over it goes.
This will slow it down just a little bit. Very heated. And as you said, 20% louder under this tin, with the crowd here going absolutely mental after that goal. And it's only going to get more heated.
Chris Dalkeith, a bit of a nothing ball from the man who, in his last season at Ponds, scored 3 free kicks en route to 15 goal contributions. Split 7 and 8 goals and assists. Dylan Owusu, little shimmy and a shake, and away he goes. Tasks Haloka with dropping in to receive, and the man who opened the scoring sends it out line to Dante Suarez. In behind, I believe, to Michael Cody. Carrick at the back stick. Cuts back onto his right. A really difficult one that bounced right before Benny, but a sharp save in the end.
Yes, tucked it in. You've got to be careful when he cuts in on his right foot there from Cody. He's scored a fair few goals like that from the times I've played against him. But Benny had him covered there with the nice save down the middle.
I tell you what, if the answer to shutting down Rivaldo in this game is a man by the name of Mubarak Saeed, he has got to come across as the most versatile player in the league. The guy has scored a grand final winning goal back in 2023, and if he can shut down one of the most fleet-footed wingers in this association, well, you'd have to call him one of the best in terms of jack of all trades, master at a few. Carrick here, who is actually a top 5 sprinter in New South Wales for his age group, and top 30 in Australia, top 20 I should say in Australia back in the day. Preferred to focus on his footballing career. He's had stints at Nepean, Para FC, most recently a Prospect. He actually said, by the way, he actually prefers the Blacktown Premier League over the NPL.
That's a big call.
For the atmosphere and the way it's promoted.
It is. Look, he's not wrong. I'm a big advocate for that as well. I've had some time in NPL, 2 stints, and it's very, very different. But Blacktown is something is a whole lot better.
Welcome to the pinnacle of local association sport, not just for this code, but for any out there in a turn on the halfway line by Fitzgerald, whose name we haven't said all too much, although that could have been a big early contribution for him. Haloka got back to defend this one. Played the full 120 minutes in midweek, the 30-year-old. He has got 2 lungs, maybe a third hiding somewhere else. Keeps running with the ball down that far side. Dalkeith has floored him, but legally so, and got the ball just to throw. He'll feel that in his ribs.
Yeah, are those minutes midweek for Marayong going to affect them into this game? Some of those lapses right there where Haloka didn't know which way he wanted to go, who he wanted to play to, some of those in-behind runs, it makes a difference, and then that's when you shut them down a lot quicker.
Today is really the test of the 2 teams that have, quote-unquote, the best squad depth in the association and have for probably about 3 years, I'd say. Both of their respective squad depths are being tested today, and we're going to see who's really is the best in the match of the round. There are some boys who you might class as reserve graders who have come up into first grade today and are being tasked with doing it large in the match of the round, and we're going to see who's really up for the challenge. Because off the bench as well, there isn't much
tackle
in the way of, necessarily first choice players. It's young boys, and it's boys that are used to playing their resis ready to step up. It's a real test, a looping ball, and had there been about 5 yards in that, it would have been perfect. The angle was nice. Dante Suarez hits the ground. Abdul Rasul, who, despite being only 18 years old, showed a lot of strength in his core there to stay upright. Touch by Michael Cody takes him towards goal. Now the flash of pace. Michael Cody, that's brilliant! Oh. And then somehow at the back stick, it was not turned in. I think the ball, for all his brilliance in the build-up, Cody's ball was behind him. Goal kick it'll be. Workers on the edge of going behind.
We've got to remember that is a little bit slippery out there as well. That ball probably threw him off a little bit, right in behind him. Not much you can do about it, but that was a massive chance there. Open net. We could have had a very different game from there.
I think it was Michael Cody to Michael Osei Adomako, and it was the latter who proved that his pirouette on a dime is quite good, but he couldn't finish in that open net. There was a coming together there, which Fitzy isn't happy with, and he went for the swing out. And then the last-ditch challenge will bring about, surely, the first caution for Ibi Sweetan. It won't be. He's hurt himself in it too. Well, it looks like Craig Balcom, who did, of course, referee the midweek game that featured Marayong, is going to let that go. And if you're going to join me looking down at the Marayong technical area, they're not happy with that. There's some shaking of the heads. Although, to be fair, whenever you get a decision against you, you're always going to shake your head.
Absolutely. Look, might have been a yellow card worthy. There was a few lashes out of the kicks there. Was it needed? No. Was it should have been yellow card? I'm not going to say yes or no, but
he's actually hurt himself, Ibi Sweetan. We saw him in the first couple of minutes of the Ponds game a couple of weeks ago go down, and he was fine for the rest of it. But it looks like he might have really hurt himself here. I'll scroll back and have a look at our live stream and see how it happened. That was brave by Fitzy. Yeah, so he might have got stepped on a little bit in actually delivering the challenge.
Might have been stepped on, might have been an outstretch of the leg as well. It can happen. Is he slowing the game down? We'll soon find out in a couple of minutes. He's going to come off to the side here.
I think it's a yellow.
I think so as well.
It also didn't happen there.
No, it happened up closer to where the referee is currently standing.
Well, while Ibi Sweetan goes off, we're about to reveal to you in the next break of play a set of games where the aggregate score across all three grades was, I believe, is it 44-2?
I believe it was.
We'll get to that in a second. So stick around for the update as to where that has come from, which ground hosted that calamity, headed towards goal. Although it's going to trickle out towards the 18-yard box now for a Marayong throw. So word coming out of the Marayong camp, by the way, that Dante Suarez, who was starting at left back, the 23-year-old, who is wearing, by the way, the 22 jersey, had a trial at Doonside, and they chose not to take him. Ready for the roof?
Oh, just into
the technical area.
Look, Doonside's probably looking for key players. They've had a similar starting lineup for a couple of years now. They're probably looking for certain players. They might just not have been too keen on what he might have been able to bring. His style of play might have been different to what they were playing. But let's see how he's going to fit in well here with this Marayong side.
With the greatest respect to Dante Suarez, I'm not even sure if he's a trademark left back. But if he's coming up against Liam Howarth, I understand why they'd stick with it.
That's right. A lot of pace from Liam Howarth. But again, they've had a tight-knit backline for a couple of years now. Not too much is going to change on their Doonside front.
1-1 is the score. Chances are plenty down both ends. I'd say probably more for Marayong. Who do you give the first 32 minutes of this game to in terms of performance?
It is a difficult one to call. It's been both ways. A lot of, like we've said, a lot of new players into their positions. There's cut back in the ball here.
Oh, penalty shout. Could be a big one. Whistle to the lips, and a penalty is called the other way. A free kick called the other way. Ayman Abdul Rasul straight over to check on the well-being of the man who he unintentionally, accidentally scythed down, and there's now a chance to look at it. So let's see what happened. Haloka with some brilliance, dancing down the right-hand side of the pitch. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
I think he just slipped on the ball, might have slipped in for a few nudges there.
Either way, everyone's back to their feet, which is the most important thing. So confirmation of a set of matches that happened between Town Rangers and Premier Spurs. So in the 21s game, the final score was 27-2. In Rezzies, it was 13-0. And no, I'm not talking about the Good Friday NRL clash. And in first grade, a much more respectable 4-1 loss. So Town Rangers not only go first in the club championship by a long way in terms of the points, considering Oakville have suffered a couple of losses today to Prospect as well.
And Newbury have the bye.
That's exactly right. But they've also got a real handy goal difference. Although, to be fair, 21s doesn't go towards goal difference and club championship points, but still the 13-0 in Rezzies.
Oh, massive.
Pretty significant.
But that's a morale boost for Town Rangers with those goals. Obviously, for their young players, looking into wanting to push for those reserve grade or first grade spots going, that could be me one day. Here's what I can do. And, I mean, 27 goals, I didn't believe it when we found out, to be honest.
Well, I saw the other day that Shia Chakal, the co-coach of Marayong, was actually a goal scorer in the Australia Cup. And that his shirt number was 1,952. So there are mistakes sometimes put into dribble. However, yes. I don't think that was one of them. Anyway, Josh Ross clips this towards the back stick. Owusu is rising above Appiah. And then really good hands by Benjamin Dalkeith. All 6'2" of that frame got up with those outstretched arms. See you later to that ball.
Looking a lot comfortable now. He's going to be their driving force from the back, Ben Dalkeith, today.
You've experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, your keeper's got to be confident. That just brings the whole morale up for the rest of the team. As long as your keeper's confident and ready to go, like everyone says, it's from the back. It drives from the back. So as soon as his head's right going forward for this game, it changes the whole shape of what they're going towards.
Abdul Rasul up against Sweden, up against Bazina, past both of them, the 18-year-old, a chance for Ethan Carrick,
all in behind,
who slots it home. And on his match of the round debut, he has scored with a bit of finesse underneath Ben Dalkeith. But I'm sorry, look exactly at that number 7 at 18 years old, gets through two of the best midfielders in this comp and slots in a perfect through ball for Carrick to finish. Ayman Abdul Rasul, what a moment for the kid.
Looking a little bit lost there. Chris Dalkeith jumps forward to try and win that ball off him after Abdul Rasul ran through two players. Looking a little bit lazy there from the boys. And that ball's come in behind. And Ethan Carrick with a nice, cool, calm finish. Their backline unshaped there. And these things happen.
That is a stellar bit of footballing interplay from a stellar footballing team. And we sing the praises of Kevy and of Shia so much on these media outings, but I think that goes down to a bit of individual brilliance. And Carrick, with a couple of minutes to go until half-time, puts the visitors up by a goal again. Mubarak Saeed. Workers haven't been down this end of the pitch in, I think I'd say, 10 minutes.
That's what it feels like.
It's almost like they scored and Marayong shifted into a higher gear as a result. Taylor Redden.
We look at the time frame of where that last goal was just scored. Wow.
Well, the first yellow card of the game comes in here. And, you know what, some would argue he should already be on one, so that's why he has the feeling to go into it. I don't like arguments where people say, well, he should have been previously yellowed and now he should have been redded. Well, he wasn't. Now he's formally cautioned. But Ibi Sweden will now be living.
And we're looking at that part of the field too. You don't need to be making tackles like that to win that there. Because now look where it's shift workers all the way to their back line. Not too far outside the 18-yard box.
That's not a great tackle by any stretch of the imagination.
It's very late to the ball.
That is an intentional bust right into the midsection there of Paddy Halaka, I think. And I have no issues with saying that Ibi Sweden knew exactly what he was doing there.
Maybe this is the breather that they need to shape it a little bit differently. What are they going to try now? How are they going to set up? It gets them a chance to reassess the situation. We look at this last time when Pond scored at this time. They scored 2 early goals. Where do you think this rates to that? in terms of another goal not too far before half-time.
I was about to ask you the same thing. I was about to ask you, well, they went up Ponds by 1 goal, then they went up by 2. I think, first of all, without giving a prediction, it is objectively critical that they do not concede a second one like they did in that Ponds game. And I think that they are looking the most likely to concede the next goal. So it is important that they at least spend these next 7 minutes plus or so keeping tight. Do I think that it could lead to the same thing as a couple of weeks ago? Not to the dramatic level that the 7-2 was. However, Marayong have scored 6 past the Workers team before, and it wasn't that long ago. So they are very capable of doing it. That was back in 2023 when that Marayong team went on to win the grand final, of course. Do I think it could happen? Yes, because I've seen it happen just a couple of weeks ago to a team who were just as good as this young outfit.
I do remember that 6-2 loss. The only 2 goals I did score, match of the round ones, so there's a little tally off for that one.
Brother scored a good free kick against Marayong in my first year here doing this.
Yes, it was a great one.
Ooh! My word, past the base of the right-hand upright, nearly one of the craziest own goals in the history of Wout Fast, if you know the reference.
Where do they shape up here?
Well, the aim has been, I would suggest, to the front post, heading towards the likes of Josh Wash and Dylan Owusu. Those are your 2 tallest and bravest players in the air. It hasn't necessarily been a day of great corners. That is
that is
that's going to add to the tally there. Because you know who usually stands over those corners.
Yep. Kelvin Ofori, unfortunately not here. But we get to see what some of these other players are made of from the corners.
Yeah.
Or is it a case of, after that one, they go back to the bottom?
We've seen Josh Ross take a couple of free kicks, but they preferred his ability in the box rather than the one delivering it into the box. 5 minutes to go in regular time, although I can imagine that at least 2 minutes will be added on to that injury concern for Patrick Haloka not too long ago.
Nope, it's too late for the head on that one. Chris Dalkeith already making that run. Talon just didn't get his head enough to see that happen, and that play just dropped off from there.
Speaking of going back to old storylines, I know you would have picked up on this on the podcast, but I'll make reference to it now. I asked Ahmed Badat, when you had your chance on the left foot down there at 1-1 against Ponds, before they went and scored there too, how critical was that before that game got out of hand? What about how critical that chance was down there some 15 minutes ago when they were at 1-1 and they could have gone up 2-1?
Similar thing. Weaker side on that left foot, you can see. Not much you can do about it. Could that have changed it? Could they have gone up 2-1? Like in the Ponds game, could they have shifted that and made that a change? But we've got to see where he comes in. That left foot, left side coming in to shoot. I think that's what he just needs to nullify and just make it a little bit more critical into his game. And then he can become that 3-course meal striker.
Ooh, well said.
Left foot, right foot headers, you've got to have them all in your bag.
Brilliant by Bazina. Clipped in behind by Fitzy. Oh, Mubarak Saeed, a little slip up there. And might that just kick them into gear a little bit? Let's see what Workers can do from it. They've not really been in this Marayong section of the pitch for a while, and now they've got a chance to put the pressure on. This has been such a good tussle all day.
Yeah, it's been very physical. They're always a physical side, Marayong. The Workers are matching them in those senses, but it's pretty back and forth. We've got to see these little notions of where they win those physical battles, especially in the middle of the park. Especially for the new players trying to make a name for themselves into this first grade team.
Zena back to goal, but back to Ayman Abdul Rasul as well. Blake Ford clears it. Owusu will let it trickle all back towards another of Ghanaian background in this Marayong team. And sent away. My word, that is a serious boot. First time we've seen it all game. Don't think Marayong were expecting, or Workers, I should say, were expecting that at all. This is a chance here. Bad defending. There's a man on the line. It's come here to Michael Osei Adomako to put them in line in front by 2. And then the follow-up hits the base post, holding the nets up. Marayong so close to going in front by 2.
A little bit shaky at the back line there. A couple great saves there from Benny. The decision should have been to clear that ball straight away. Marayong have been hot on the press these last couple of minutes.
Where on earth has this level of energy come from a team who were battered and bruised a couple of days ago? Very, very impressive indeed. Critically important that Workers do not go behind by another, get into the sheds and reevaluate a little bit.
Yeah, they want to keep it at this scoreline. Maybe nab one back if they can to change it up a little bit. But the energy levels of Marayong just shows the class that they have.
Osei Adomako. Into the box! There was a clip there, penalty straight away. And history is about to repeat itself, it seems. Brilliant work from the man receiving multiple high fives right now, Michael Osei Adomako, who was just too quick and too nippy, and he was clipped. That's poor. That's poor by Blake Ford, I have to say. You could argue that perhaps wasn't in the most threatening position in terms of inside the 18-yard box, and now the man who scored the opening goal in the big cup set win over Central Coast United is going to have a chance. He has 3 starts to his name and 3 goals in the league to go with it. What about now here in the match of the round? Buried with ease. Down the middle, and Marayong are up by 2. The score is 3-1, and Michael Osei Adomako has his first in the match of the round.
A little mind lapse there from Blake at the back to cause that penalty. We've got to see what heart they have now to turn this around.
Well, it would have to be something that we haven't seen so far. We have seen Workers come back at times late in the game. I know that you know all about that. So do Eastern Creek, of course. What a stellar game of football that was. But this is looking like Marayong strutting their stuff against a team that they very often tend to strut their stuff against. Workers must go into the change rooms with a better mentality than they did 3 odd weeks ago. Samatua will send this into the dead zone.
Marayong are just getting a lot stronger there. They're winning there with 1 and 2 players winning the ball. You can hear the levels that they're actually talking and communicating with each other to win that ball back.
Brilliant defending on the cusp of giving away a free kick there by Samatua, who even after 5 minutes always looks like he's absolutely shattered. I promise you he'll be fine till 90. And then it's Mubi Saeed who wins a free kick. We're already a minute into added on time, by the way.
They need to slow this down just that little bit. Nothing silly. Reassess in the halftime break.
Michael Cody, the best 21s product to come out, maybe since Ayman Abdul Rasul himself. Free kick Workers.
Had to have been fractions offside there.
Two minutes into added on time. Marayong find themselves 3-1 to the good. Rivaldo trying to get involved. Scored his fair share of match of the round goals in his time. For both Pons and for Marayong. There's just something about this green jersey that elevates the level of players. Half-time, whistle blown quickly. Marayong will go into the sheds with the same scoreline in their favour that Pons did a couple of weeks ago. It's been a tale, honestly, very similar to what we said a couple of weeks ago, you and me. It was very even for the first 20. A goal, one was hit back, Workers looked good, and then unfortunately they didn't. Marayong have certainly had the ascendancy in terms of momentum, and they've had their foot on the throat for most of this first half, and barring some incredible saves down this right-hand side of your screen, it might have been more. Thoughts?
A strange sense to that first half. History repeating itself slightly within the touch, bar a penalty goal that's changed to an open play goal instead. It's been tough, it's been physical. I think the guys need to get back in there, really reassess what they want to do, how they want to go forward, how they need to nullify the midfield and just stay a lot stronger. The back line needs to be a lot sharper from the back coming out. But on Marayong's side, so far 3 goals. This is what they said from the podcast. They want to be taking their chances. They need to be hitting their stride. They have done so far with 3 goals in the first half.
Well, we have waxed lyrical about what it meant for Marayong to be missing Kelvin Ofori. I think we need to wax lyrical about how much the loss of Danny McDougall, a most recent All-Star midfield representative, is having on this workers' side. And honestly, considering what these 2 results might turn out for them, there's both this Pons and now this one. If it keeps heading in this way, they might already be out of the title race. That's my words, not yours. We'll see you in about 10 minutes or so when these 2 teams re-enter the field of play. We'll give you a live table update as it stands so far. But right now, Marayong in front. First it was Holocka. Badat made it 1-1. Kerrick from Prospect now into the match of the round made it 2-1. And then another match of the round debutant in Michael Osei Adamakor put it at 3-1. See you soon. back just in time for the second half about to begin between Marayong and Blacktown Workers. It's the former who are in the lead, 3 goals to 1. Brandon Ford with me on the mic here, former Workers representative, but now turned co-commentator with me, which is a great privilege for me and for you alike. Quick one before this second half kicks off. What's the way back into this one for your boys in Workers colours?
They need to sort out that midfield, get it a lot tighter, get them a lot working together, much easier. You know, without Danny McDougall in there, they've had a new face of Ryan Fitzgerald come in. So he's sitting in as that 10. A few different players they're working around, but they've got to really sort out that midfield because Marayong are coming at them and they're really staying sharp, winning those first and second balls, winning their battles. But we have to see how they're going to shape up coming into this second half.
I agree with you completely, especially since we've seen chances, I think especially the penalty that was conceded, where runners that start from the midfield are just allowed to charge down.
Oh, that's a late one.
Yeah, it is a late one. It'll be a yellow for Mubi Saeed. He's got a grand final goal to his name. I'm sure he won't mind the blemish on his record there. But I'm just seeing too many instances where fast players with really intricate footwork are just running at defenders who are running backwards themselves. It's not a healthy way to be.
No,
and
definitely
it needs to
not.
stop. Well, the goals won't stop, unfortunately.
Well, if you're from Town Rangers, you love goals. So
word in the street, by the way, is that those 27-odd goals, whatever the final tally was, all came inside 60 minutes before the game was canned, by the way. So I'm not sure what's happening there. However, I have heard that it is slightly better than some other match of the round games happening around the park. However, the contest that we have between these two has been pretty exhilarating, I'd say. And I think Workers would have looked at themselves in their mirrors at halftime and said, do we want this match of the round to go the same way it did a couple of weeks ago? Or do we want it to be a little bit different? And even if the game is lost, even if you can sit here and look down the barrel of the camera and say, we're not at this level just yet, that's fine. But at least show us something more than what we saw a couple of weeks ago. That's what we want to see from Workers, who we know have such great quality and we know are down on troops today. But show us something we haven't seen this season yet.
we need to see what they're really made of. I think in a sense of people saying, we don't need to see any goals.
Ball delivered in!
Oh, there we go. Way too easy. Way too easy on the turnaround there.
Marayong tuck home a chance. Minutes inside the second half. Workers are letting the game run away from them in front of their very eyes. And the 3 times straight premiers, 3 times straight club champions, and in the midst of all that, championship thrown in as well, are up 3 goals to the good with a scoreline of 4-1. And they are sitting perched pretty, 5 from 5 it seems, on top of this Laing Simmons Men's Blacktown Premier League 1 table. This match is over. Maybe if Appiah has anything to do with it.
We're going to see a corner out of this. Marayong looking into their stride, getting their goals, taking their chances like we've stated. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to really show how they could take their chances, get those goals on the board, show what they're really made of. But what can Workers do here to really turn this around, shorten the scoreline, or even make an actual game out of this?
Ball delivered in towards the front post, cleared away there by Joshua Ross, and here they come again. Running straight at defenders and flooring them, and the pace! Usain Bolt levels of pace shown in the match of the round, and the finish, it's coming, it's wide!
Wow. Straight through the middle. Straight through the middle. And he looked like he was jogging. Looked like he was jogging through the middle there.
When your stride length is 2 meters, my friend. Looks like jogging.
I wish I had that length. I wish I had that height and length in my legs to run that fast too.
So confirmation of the 4th goal scorer of Marayong. It is the first man to bag 2 for the day. Michael Osei Adomako picks up a brace in the match of the round. He has now more league goals than league starts, as he fires himself into Golden Boot contention with a brilliant performance And a sharp steering. Ooh, that's got to be a yellow for Kerrick. Very late on Badat. And if he had gone down, it would have been. Sell it better, Ahmed. Sell it.
Great switch of play here out to James Appiah.
Well, he's someone that we know can run at defenders as too. Here is Kivaldo. Two-time All-Star himself as well. Ball taken off of him, though. Ball stayed in play, though.
Great
He
ball
turns
in.
provider and a header at goal. I think finally the flag was raised. Brendan Ford, unfortunately, I have to say, I just don't think anything has changed. In fact, you'd argue it's gotten a little worse. Let's have a look back at this run through the defence, by the way. Floors Appiah. Look at that. And you know what? He should have finished for a hat-trick. 2 of those goals would have come in the last 5 minutes.
Yes, he definitely should have finished that off there. That was a bit of a weaker shot, probably. He could have gone around the keeper, could have made a different choice. It's hard to tell. He probably was losing breath after running through the whole middle of the field. Ball coming in behind Blake, wins the ball here. Ibi Swedan getting onto the ball, turning it in short. Now Workers going forward. Looking behind for Wicks.
Owusu there to clear. This is Brendan Bazina now. Something tells me that the 4th goal scorer might have actually been Paddy Halaka, by the way. Unfortunately, such a cluster of bodies in the middle that it's hard to tell. We'll come to you with the definitive answer soon.
Nice tiki-taka pass in here. Setting back now for Workers.
This Michael Osei-Adomako, he is strong, isn't he?
Against a guy like Chris Dalkeith, definitely. He is a very strong player. So it's going to be interesting, this clash coming to the second half.
So it is confirmation. It is, in fact, Paddy Halaka's goal. It wouldn't have been a Michael hat-trick if he was running through there. A little push and shove between Michael Osei-Adomako and Chris Dalkeith. Nothing more than that, though. Just a hey, how you going?
Tension's flaring a little bit. We see it with the scoreline. You can't let those things get under your skin.
So after all that, Marayong and Ayman Abdul Rasul have a chance to deliver a ball in.
Then Dalkeith setting up a 3-man wall.
Would you believe that that's actually Paddy Halaka's first 2 goals of the season? Ayman Abdul Rasul towards the back stick. Lovely floated ball, cleared away. Oh, there was a kick right there.
Little inches there to get that free kick. Studs on studs.
Wicks playing as a defensive midfielder for the time being, it seems. Easy there for Dante Suarez. On match of the round debut, has locked down either winger he's come up against. This is Taylor Redden here. Kerrick, I'm not sure he read that correctly there. Taylor Redden said that this Workers side needed to do less talking, more winning, and said that he genuinely believes that Workers could finish top spot. And I do genuinely think that with a full-strength squad they could. But against another team who are not full strength, this is tough to watch. Sliding challenge. Mubi Saeed's on a yellow already. Got to be careful.
Oh, that's
is he off?
That's his first one.
Mubi Saeed's going to be off the pitch.
No,
or
that is his second.
Does this change the momentum of this game completely, or is he not?
Oh, that is his second, yes. Yes,
that's it.
So. Wow.
Buildup Saeed is off for leaving a trailing high stud as he went into that challenge with far too much relaxation in his approach there. Far too relaxed.
Some of the players asking these questions, was it worth the yellow? But now we're seeing it here.
Well, let's have a look at it back. We're going to be having the privilege of watching it back multiple times. You guys at home won't, but it seems a little nonsensical to do it there. Either way, the decision is made. Buildup Saeed is off.
It's unfortunate. The slow walk off the field. Just chewing away the time.
Been a long time since there was a red card in the match of the round. Buildup Saeed taking his dandy time. A good performance all round, but the red card will certainly put a blemish on it. But what a strange way for this game to flip. And might that just bring Marayong into a bit of a state? Might this just upset them? Off goes Mubi.
This is going to be a huge change around for the game now.
That's not very nice. Don't appreciate the way that referees are treated sometimes by folk who are too outspoken in our bleachers. If that is the way you approach going to games, please don't.
Decisions are made and things happen.
All the while, there is concern here for one of the Marayong boys. Physio certainly getting the steps in today. She's been busy. So Josh Ross will come over, one of the leaders of the defensive line, to chat to his co-coaches about what the approach needs to be to try and close out this game. This is no longer a game to improve goal difference. This is now a rest your best players and hold on to this lead. I think it needs to be considered as such. We actually spoke about Marayong not putting teams to the sword so far this year. Well, this is pretty much a statement being made.
So far they have with a 4-1 scoreline. Now is it going to shift? Man down, 56 minutes in. There's still plenty of time in this game. We saw Workers do it against Quakers Hill well, they had a man down, but now in favour, they're a man up. What can we see from them?
If you scratch off the 15 minutes of half-time, Marayong have scored 3 goals in 10 minutes. So it is very possible that in 30 plus, that could change. The concern here is that Dylan Owusu is the one who's down. Now, he is looking to return to the pitch. I wonder if they'll keep him on. He is currently today the captain. He's regularly the vice-captain. Down to 9 men for the time being. Can Workers take advantage of this? No. Ethan Kerrick drops in to defend. Osei Adamako is there. That's a bad challenge.
Oh, there's an interesting call here.
That's got to be a yellow for me. It's literally happened in the same spot.
It's virtually in the same spot, yes. Another shift of pace here. Another free kick. Another chance to get him behind. What can they do from it this side? Where's the hunger? Where's the drive to get this goal?
It needs to happen relatively quickly. They have plenty of time to do it, but this Marayong team are about to play some football that I think even Getafe in Spain would call as too anti-football. Delivered in by Badat's left, driven away. Appiah is there, sent wide to Blakeford. Square pass infield to Badat. First time I think we've called Workers putting together 3 or 4 passes in a string. Taken off them by Dylan Owusu, who, by the way, puts Marayong back to 10 players on the pitch as he works off those injury issues. Doing so well to body through his man, the turn so quick. Michael Cody, but Appiah met his match.
Just locking in a few passes here just to sort of see their field position, see how Marayong's going to set up. That's a very poor pass straight through the middle there.
How on earth
they've got to be finding these passes.
How does Marayong look like they still have more players on the pitch? Right now it looks like Workers are the ones that have the red card. Sent away Blake Ford off his left, high into the night sky and wide. Throw-in, it'll be Young.
Both sides have got to work out quickly how they want to approach this last half an hour from a defensive point and an attacking point. But they've got to do it quick because otherwise the other team will settle and then the game will be set.
It would take a shift of momentum that workers of Marayong have not experienced between the two of them. In the history of this fixture, this worker side have only been in the Premier League as this unit for the last 7 years or so. It's not an established Premier League team. Their record against Marayong is not a colourful one in their favour. So they would have to go against all the history books and the scoreboard here tonight in order to mount a comeback. Dalkeith, we know what he can do when he delivers in. Good defending there by Ethan Kerrick. There's another big challenge that came in there.
A late challenge. They've got to be smarter with these things here. They don't want to cop those yellow cards that they don't necessarily need, especially that far down the pitch. Nullify it, let the ball play out, let them send it down the line, reset, and push forward as a team.
Oscar Osei relatively unchallenged since the opening moments of the game. Samatua underneath it, one of the best call-upon defenders in the entire history of this Premier League, I'd say. So reliable. Haloka looks like he's playing as a right-back right now. There is James Appiah. Turning on a dime was Ahmed Badat. Now finally Workers putting some passes together again. Might fall fortuitously in the box for them. Suarez trying to clear. Wixie takes it off him in tandem with Rivaldo. Options one side, not the other. Stepping in was Suarez again. There is Wicks, who has a burst of acceleration. Crossed, blocked. Desperate defending by Marayong. Fortune again favours Workers. A bicycle kick clearance for Workers. It didn't end up resulting in a shot. Was that a bit too happy-go-lucky right there? Oscar Osei. Adomako, was he threatening the offside flag there? Cleared away by Taylor Redden. Right up the centre of the park. Free kick.
Free kick, another small free kick in there again. Just to slide up. It started heating up a little bit there, a little bit quicker plays. Workers trying to find those balls in behind.
Well, it's good to finally see them putting some passes together. It feels like it hasn't happened in a while.
Unfortunately, it's taken a man down to see this drive come out.
Josh Ross steps out of defence to close down Brendan Bazina. Rivaldo, good little shimmy there to get past his man. Suarez, here to the shot! And it's somehow gone over, and it didn't even take a clip.
Sounds like it's a good effort.
Was that Taylor Redden who came out of defence to smack that one?
Yes, confirmed on that.
Well, that's what they need to do. They need to be a little bit... just shake it up a little bit. If Taylor Redden wants to come into the box, let him.
They've got to get the numbers in there. They've got to get the numbers to get these goals back or even change the game in itself.
So a live table update, by the way, right now has Doonside trailing Marayong by 3 points, which rings so true to the way that it was last year. Marayong are looking to go 5 from 5. Ponds play tomorrow, so they currently sit 6 points behind their grand final opponents of last year, but they do have a chance to get back on them and close that gap. They also have had a bye, so they could go equal with them. They have the same record right now. If you like, one loss and the rest wins. Well, now Workers are the ones who are having decisions against them, and they are the ones who seem incensed. It's both Bazina and Chris Dalkeith who are saying, no, it shouldn't be. There's a baby crying off to my right. All hell is breaking loose here at Laybutt.
Not happy with that call, clearly, from the young baby. Must be a Workers fan.
Kerrick here. Beautiful. Neymar-esque. Cuts back, though. Neymar would never do that. Beautiful. Oh, and then well read by Taylor Redden. Well done again by Taylor Redden. Wins a throw-in.
Got to get out of this area real quick. Zena getting shut down there, and it still feels like Marayong has an extra player on the field, even though they're a man down. Because these passes still seem to hit their feet when they're trying to play out from the back Workers.
You should, with an extra man, be able to play so many different combinations that the opposition just simply cannot keep up with. Are Workers going to be able to find that form? Workers now feeling like the tide is against them with the whistle.
It seems that way. I mean, we're seeing a lot of smaller challenges now, and I think the players are making it seem larger than what it is. But now we're just going back and forth between free kicks, slowing the game right down. So momentum will not go in favour of Workers.
But playing right to the hands of those in green.
Yes.
This is Ayman Abdul Rasul, one of the youngest goal scorers in match of the round history when he popped up as a 17-year-old. Delivery in. He's got an assist to his name today. Shonky clearance eventually dealt with by Benny Dalkeith. Turn and a bit of space for Brendan Bazina. Workers have also not won a match of the round game since that 12-0 over Rivo. James Appiah using the most of their man advantage. Brilliant by Appiah, and then the back stick somehow steered away. That's much better from Workers.
Much better play there, but the goal line clearance, I don't even know how that got off his foot there. It seemed like it was going one way and then it completely flicked the other way. It was like glue on his foot.
Can I give you an answer?
Sure.
Dylan Owusu.
That's a class answer, that one. He is what's going to nullify their back line today.
Front post cleared away. Did that ball go out before it hit the box? It did. Corner kick. Not the first corner from that area of the pitch. That's gone poorly wrong.
Nothing wrong with that corner. I can tell you that. Just corners have to be better.
From both?
From both, yes.
Full one it reads. Halaka the only man with 2 to his name. A goal in this second half has taken the real sting out of it in terms of a contest. But Workers now with the man advantage trying to do their best to do the rescue mission here in the match of the round. Step on the ball by Kerrick was exceptional. He's just 20 years old, these kid. Kerrick still with the 14 on his back, sends it in behind. Appiah read it well. Lost his shin pad in the process, did Ethan Kerrick. Ayman Abdul Rasul. Was there a hint of offside? The flag has now been raised.
Come back from an offside position there. That's better in defence there from Workers. Getting their players back, understanding the assignment, knowing that they're going forward. They're quality going forward, Marayong. Getting 4 players back behind the ball. And we're returning here now. Workers have possession on the ball.
Gibby Sweet down with time and space to turn and play. Ahmed Badat in behind. He's really not playing like a striker today, Ahmed Badat. Wicks offside. So, someone who scored in the grand final for the 21s some 2 years ago, just 22-year-old Ani. So good they had to name him twice. And number 24 about to come onto the pitch. It'll be a match of the round first grade debut for him, having already made a live stream appearance in that match of the round for the 21s grand final. Then he did so the year after. Both times those 21 boys from De Jong were successful. He is lightning quick. So considering that this game is now a flurry of counter-attacks for Marayong, pretty much, you'd have to say, this kid is about to blow the game open if he gets a chance to spread his wings. Rivaldo, took him a little bit away from goal, but that wasn't his fault. The pass was a tiny bit overhit. Dalkeith, first time delivery, looking a little heavy. There was, I think, Halaka who was defending. Bazina, here comes Chris Dalkeith. Like a prime Jean Cancelo with the way he inverts into midfield here. Stabbed, one in the air by Marayong, cleared in the air by Dylan Owusu.
A little bit shaky there. We need Chris Dalkeith coming in for that ball. The ball's got to be embedded to the box. We've got to make these decisions quicker. Opening up fairly strangely for some players in their areas. But do Workers change their formation? They're a man up. Do they change? Do they go forward with the extra man?
Well, we saw the 3-back the throwback not work a couple of weeks ago in the match of the round. But they might have to force themselves to play it and try and get an extra man in midfield or out wide. They are finding some success with width.
Yeah, but they've got to find that shape in there. Change the game, change the notion of it. 20 minutes to go, they've got to change the notion. Class dribbling here from James Appiah, unlucky to lose the ball.
In behind, must be won by Blake Ford. It is. Ibrahim Sweetan. Karim Morsi preparing himself to come on. Look at Josh Ross working himself into the ground. Side flag raised on Wicks. They can hate the decision, but if he's offside, he's offside.
Fine lines. We always speak about it. Fine lines must stay switched on at all times.
Considering how different this second half has been in terms of the action around the goal mouth, 25 minutes has absolutely flown on by. We're closer to the end of the game than we are to the halfway point now.
It's definitely shaped up to that.
Osei Adamako, free kick, 1. Workers again feeling frustrated, but by the laws of the game, the hands were raised and the shirt was tugged at. Both Karim Morsi and Ane are waiting to make their way onto the pitch. Soon to come. They have to do it soon, though, or particularly Ane will probably cool down.
Here we go. Here we're going to make the changes now.
I think that's Ryan Fitzgerald who's coming on. So 28, well, coming off, I should say. So 28-year-old, formerly of Rouse Hill Rams back in the day. He's going to come off. Let's see what Karim Morsi can do. He was pretty effective in the reserve grade game prior to this. And we know exactly what he's all about in terms of when he played for Pons pre-ACL injury. He's still getting back to his best level. He's got a chance to dart in behind here. Rivaldo in tandem touch took him wide.
Massive touch there.
Straight to Oscar Osei. With a bit of pizzazz in the process. I think the door for a comeback has all but shut here, in my opinion.
Needed to be done earlier. Needed an earlier goal. Not too long after that red card happened.
Ayman Abdul Rasul, 18-year-old. What about just a word on a kid who's been forced to step up today in the absence of the two-time player of the year playing in his 8 role? He's not done too badly, has he?
He's been fantastic. Got a chance here for Workers.
Not when Dylan Owusu's around.
Dylan Owusu's shut it down. Yeah, Eamon's been good. He's been pretty solid to step in those shoes, show what he's made of.
That wasn't a foul. He was looking for that from the start because it was being closed down by 2. Can't say I'm necessarily a massive fan of that. So it was Karim Morsi who took his jacket off first. Ane had to wait, then he sat back down. Now he's back. The question is, who comes off? I don't think it's going to be any of the attackers. I think it's actually going to be... Is it Nathan Samatua? Well, they were saying his name before. So down a man but up by 3 goals. They're going to take off a defender for an attacker. And it's these kind of decisions that make Shia Shakal, who, by the way, recently announced him and his lovely partner Tina are having a baby boy soon. And Kevin Guerrero, who's got plenty of his own already, 2 of the best coaches in this, if not the best coaches in this division.
Yeah, definitely very wise for the last couple of years have been, or many years that they've been coaching. But that's a break for Samatua to have a well-deserved rest after the game he's had. I think it's much deserved. We get to see what they're going to do here, bringing on an attacker. But where does he fit into this place here? He's currently working out with his teammates where he's going to fit in. You can see the talk.
So Paddy Haloka's confirmed as a right back. Who is playing at the left side of defence, I don't know. Looks like as well, another young man up from 21s, now into reserve grade these days. Lado Pitya will be coming on as well. Scored as well in a grand final for those 21s a long time ago, did Lado.
Good, Amy, very good.
Great head up, won by Blake Ford.
There's an A in that 24 jersey, by the way. Nutmegs the referee there. Ayman Abdul Rasul as the 21's eligible players. Also an Ethan Kerrick link up here. Crazy to think that this guy isn't on a first grade senior team sheet. Dow Keith has just floored him after he took the shots. Absolutely floored him.
Marayong's finding their space still finding their wide players, using what they can, opening the game up. Still a man down, obviously, but yes, he come across there and got floored by Dow Keith.
Should mention, well, another change was made. Elijah Ulese has come onto the pitch as well. I'm not 100% sure when that happened. It might have been at half-time. Similarities physically between Dante Suarez and Elijah Ulese. Very, very similar. So he's in the 27 jersey. Sitting in here at left back.
These long ball decisions are pretty poor for what they're having. They're a man up. They've got to nullify and use these midfield players. Open up the space. Play it wider. There's no need to be doing those long balls from there.
I'm going to... bad challenge. I'm going to retract what I've just said. Dante Suarez might be wearing Elijah Ulese's 27 jersey, but it is Dante who is down on the team sheet as wearing the number 27. So we'll keep it at that. That's a funny one. Kedek. Okay, not for the first time.
Didn't look like there was much in that. The game is spinning slower and slower for these set pieces. Winding down.
Ayman Abdul Rasul had a chance from this mark some 10 minutes ago. It's exactly the same ball and exactly the same result as it's been cleared. Is that an A there? I do believe. He's back to the camera. Abdul Rasul. Nutmegs Rivaldo. This is Michael Cody, in fact. Claim is that Rivaldo got the ball. He didn't. Yellow card for the former Marayong man.
It was bound to be coming. They were working in behind there, frustrating the workers' defence. All it was going to take was that little cut inside and then the trip. Lapses in concentration there. No need for that. Ref still having a chat there to Brendan Bazina, the captain of Workers, working out what's going on here. Michael Cody standing on the ball, ready for this free kick. Another three-man wall from this side, very similar to the early spaces of this half.
This time it's Michael Cody in the 45 jersey. Scored the fourth and final goal against Ponds in round one. Struck 2 goals! Goal of the day! As the result is now more than sealed with a cherry on top and a bow around it too. That is sensational. It is Kelvin Ofori-esque. It is absolutely wonderful from Michael Cody, who's probably just scored the goal of his senior career.
Way too easy. That was a beautiful goal. Dipped in, right over the back corner. Happy with that one. Fantastic finish. Just whipped straight over Ben Dalkeith.
Look at the low follow through from the boot and the way it just whipped into the top right-hand corner. It wasn't completely upper 90, but it was absolutely beautiful nonetheless. Oh man, I'm sorry to say, but this Marayong squad depth is something to behold. These kids they got coming through. Wow.
This is what we speak about. This is what teams talk about when they say they talk about depth. They're showing it today.
Michael Cody, you freak. On comes Luke Juhart, just 20 years old. as does Daniel DeBetz. Match of the round debut for the latter. Former featured off the bench in the game against Ponza as well. Can I just put a reminder out there to those who don't know, Marayong are down a player right now and have been for 20 minutes. Absolutely sensational. Chance for Workers, cleared away Josh Ross with ease. Ten minutes left to go in this one. Workers will be counting down the minutes at this point. Ball in towards the front post, cleared away again by Josh Ross. Had a really solid game. Appy has just been floored there. Little kick out there. Free kick it will be for Workers, but Karim Morsi is saying he was pretty much through on goal. So why did you stop it, ref? I don't disagree.
He did win that possession going forward. There was a little bit of space in front of him there. A few questions always get asked with those things, you know. The refs make the decisions, but at the end of the day, they're the chiefs of the field. So you can't be too harsh on them.
Issue here for James Appiah. Could this Workers' day get any worse? Their last two match of the round games have ended in an aggregate score of, I don't even know if I want to say this out loud.
You can.
12-3.
Still to come. 10 minutes still to come.
You know what, though? To give them any semblance of credit, it's not like the teams that have scored these goals against them have scored scrappy goals. These two games that we've covered, where Workers have featured in the last month or so, they have come up against some absolutely sensational individual moments of brilliance. I mean, I labelled the podcast this week as games being won in moments. I mean, a Michael Cody moment like that, it's not the winning goal, but far out, it does help when you've got a player who can do that.
Still sensational. Sensational finish. And a lot of their other goals have been as well.
Zachary Smith in the 53 jersey also about to make his way on. It's the end of James Appiah's night. Unfortunately, been one of the brighter performers, I'd have to say.
Yeah, he's done well for the evening. Put in some minutes, put in some kilometres.
Just
really might have felt a little bit more after that tackle, that coming together.
It was a huge coming together. And I think it's a bump that hurts. It's probably not an injury. It's just a day where the body's been used a lot. It'll hurt for a couple, and then you'll be all right. But no injury to point it to exactly. So more changes coming Marayong's way as the kids are going to get some first team minutes. It's a return to the live stream for Lado Pitia. Now 22 years old, score in a grand final for the 21s. Off comes a man who has been pivotal in making this game the deficit that it is. Michael Cody comes off, Ayman Abdul Rasul comes off. A couple of Abdul Rasul assists. Michael Cody's freakish free kick just a couple of minutes ago. And the talent that comes on is not too bad either. Kudak Matsveru comes on, the younger brother of Tigers right back and two-time All-Star representative, I should say, not that he played in the second match, but two-time All-Star representative Blessings Matsveru. On he comes, does Kudak. And a chance all the way from those couple of minutes ago when there was that issue with Appiah, who's now just finally making his way to the technical area, which is saved with ease by Oscar Ursay, who, whether it's been with the feet or with the gloves, absolutely sensational in between the sticks today.
Yeah, he's been very comfortable and very confident at the back there, nullifying that position.
Taylor Redden. Rivaldo, good footwork. Square pass. I believe on that far side is Duhart. Now points for the ball to be given in behind. Karim Morsi will switch here to Taylor Redden. Under hip, but it ended up working because of the lack of space. Taken up by Marayong players. Reversal in behind, well dealt with by Dante Suarez wearing Elijah Ulese's jersey, which is helpful.
And they've been so strong at the back. with a man down, you can really see the heart and the class that they've had to not only not concede, but to score again and to keep workers at 1 goal.
Rivaldo, poor pass.
A little mistake there.
Delivered in by Taylor and Redden. Should be cleared by Lardo Pitia. It's not. Then he's jumped in far too early. It wasn't Osei with the save. It was one of the Marayong players wearing green. 1-2, sent out wide. These subs are combining with the freedom on their shoulders of a team that have already expected to come away with a loss. So they're just playing with a bit of fun out there. Bazina. Good turn. Struck.
Wow.
Oh, wow!
Out of nothing. A turn.
Well, Ahmed Badat waited a while for his first match of the round goal, got 2 pens. Today he's got 2 absolute screamers. It's come far too late for workers. But oh my word, what a goal.
2 first-time finishes this evening. Out of nothing. Similar to the very first goal of the game.
That is a smack of sheer frustration and anger. Look at that. You can tell he's PO'd by the way he hits the ball.
They did well to get out to that, but it was just way too close to that post for the goal.
That is a ripping goal.
It was, yeah.
Oh, once again, workers have scored a second in the match of the round. It's
huge switch of the play here.
Look at the pace being shown by this man off the bench. Square pass. Man, if that had led to a goal, we could have been leading into a pretty frantic final couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Wasn't to be, though. Where's this been? Where's this been for the last 35 minutes?
This should have been here since that red card happened.
Ooh, that would have hurt. Let's say Adomako. Been a bit silent, but he hasn't really had the ball. And now Marayong looking for another one. It's Kerrick who has one to his name, one to his left. Kerrick! Over.
Bit of a lash from the left foot there. Bit of scuffle. Had a workers player. Blake Ford coming across.
Sorry, what a goal. That's better than Michael's, I'm just saying.
I think from an open play perspective, yes. Had a lot of open space there and absolutely laced the ball.
On comes Guy Ugwak in the 32 jersey. Another one of the 21s players coming up. Wore 22 when he was a 21s representative. Now up into the 32. Comes on for a couple of minutes to see it out. He's had some pretty strong stints already, I've been told, in senior football. Here's a chance on the match of the round in first grade, though. Forced to play them, but I can imagine that they'll be walking away tonight happy that they did. What an opportunity for these 21 boys of Marayong, who we knew were already fantastic, to come onto the pitch and play with freedom that we've seen them do that's torn apart 21's teams.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
no wonder that the likes of Michael Cody and Ibrahim Koroma, who's now a right back at Ponds, for example, but these kind of guys who have scored 45 goal contributions in a season, they can do it at this level. Rivaldo running in behind, overhit for him.
And that's all credit to the coaching staff at Marayong as well. Just that drive to bring the best out of these players.
Plenty of discussions happening out there. I'll say Adomako. One who left it for Haloka, who, by the way, has played at 10, striker, right back, everything today. Look at him still running. Even turned up to Wanderers 5's training less than 24 hours after their 120 minutes on Tuesday night. Rivaldo leaving one in on a man who he never crossed paths with. Actually, forgive me, he did cross paths with last season. Dylan Owusu. Ooh, taken off him though. Rivaldo, couple of step overs. Past Guy Ugwak. Goal kick. 2 minutes left to go in regular time, probably about 3 or 4 to add on. Look at the way, by the way, at 5-2 up, that Kevi Shia and as well Naji, who is technically the Women's Premier League coach and the club president, still just commanding everything that's happening out there. Kerrick, well done. Just so well done. Been a big fan of his.
They're not allowing it to get worse. They're still commanding just the generals.
Been told that Ethan Kerrick received a phone call from Kevin Guerrero. They are family friends. It goes back, apparently. That's the connection there, as did Oscar Osei. Got a call from Kevy, we've been told. Whatever that means. Wonder what his phone bill is like in the off-season. Just while we have the bulk of the viewers still here, by the way, thank you so much for your time coming here on the Match of the Round. I know that it takes a lot to dedicate and be prepared for this, and obviously you don't get to watch it in a relaxed form. Oh, sensational. Offside flag. Perhaps it was a foul in the build-up, but thank you so much for what you're doing here tonight. Really do appreciate your work across the last 180 minutes in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be here, and it's an honour to call this game alongside you.
Once again, been phenomenal on the mic, my friend.
Thank you very much. It's great fun.
Rivaldo, strong work past Guy Uguak. Rivaldo still. We're waiting for that one Rivaldo moment that we're so used to from the last couple of years. It's 26, 27 this year. He's in his athletic prime, you'd suggest, for a winger. Want to see what he can do when he really finds his place in this team. Been good in parts tonight. We know how good he is. We've seen that guy turn NPL level defenders inside and out before. Right, corner towards the front post. Oscar Osei dropped it. Strike on goal by Rivaldo. Good touch by Bazina out of the sky. Ibi Swedan cleared.
Launching ball away.
What a ball it could turn into. Blake Ford has his work cut out for him here. So does Ethan Kerrick, up against the sprinter who was one of the fastest in the country back in his prime. And he's done pretty well to deal with him there.
Yeah, he's quite fast himself, Blake. Just using his body there, just to keep in front of Ethan Kerrick.
Smart defending. 70 seconds past the 90. Any second now, you'd imagine the final whistle will blow on a day that is damning again for those brought to you by the RSL. Taylor Redden playing as like a right back, it seems. Nothing ball. Easy save.
Just a ball hit in. Not going too much. Easy save there for Osei.
Over Ibi Swedan. Did get enough of a touch to at least put Kerrick off of his original trajectory to goal. Kerrick, who's been so good to watch, goes down. How many fouls has he won even in the second half alone? It's got to be at least 5.
At least, definitely on this side here, close to the 18-yard box. They're etching closer and closer to that little spot.
We're now more than 2 minutes into added on time in a game where the result has been definitive, I would say, since the 47th minute, I should say, when Young scored their 4th. This is the exact same spot that Michael Cody scored that belter. Now it's Michael Osei Adomako or Ethan Kerrick to take. It's Kerrick who tries to repeat the feat, and he got that wrong. Goal kick it'll be.
Not enough curl on that ball.
Michael Cody can hold that one over him in the change room.
Definitely.
You're looking at the last couple of moments of a game that has, I think, made a real statement to those watching Marayong, wondering if they could come back for another year and do it again. I think statement is an understatement. This is very, very impressive.
Very.
Considering who they're missing, considering the level of inexperience brought in what they're doing right now, even as we're speaking. It's pretty sensational to watch. Free kick one. That's one the workers see as a nothing.
This just nullifies and shows how strong Marayong is and have been for many years. Especially their depth with their young players coming in. They wanted to score goals. They have. They've done it with a man down from the 60th minute. What more can you say?
Title favourites. That's what you can say.
I would agree.
Anything can happen in a grand final series. I always would put myself as someone who favours the minor premiership over the grand final. The grand final is a day for moments, though. But the minor premiership, perhaps they're favourites. Massive coming together there. No one pulled out of it. It was great to watch. Still, it looks like Marayong have more players on the pitch. Struck a goal over. Still goal kick. Still we go on. Nearly 5 minutes in.
Yeah, it's dragging on. I think Workers are really hoping that that time and that whistle goes. Let this one pass. Because with the way Marayong's going there, another quick turn snapshot. Another shot towards goal. Not on target.
As long as I'm in bed by about 10 o'clock to get up for the El Clasico tomorrow at 6, I don't mind.
What a game that will be.
Can't wait. Zena has options to his left, decides to go through the middle. There was no one there in a Workers jersey. Off the backside of one of their own in Josh Ross. An A&A, one back by Bezina. Another missed pass, but it's worked out well. Here's Ahmed Badat on a hat-trick. Upended. Still play goes on in favour of Workers. A chance here for Karim Morsi. Step overs were too slow. Good shielding of the ball here, though. He's got two on him. He's doing so well.
Wow.
Free kick against Workers.
And a 2-on-1, I was not expecting that to be called.
Nearly 6 minutes of added on time. Redden taken off him, but a slip. Oh, and an injury concern from Michael Osei Adomako, who hurt himself when he went down there. It's always those ones that are self-inflicted that are the ones to worry about. Fingers crossed in a moment that could leave a real blemish on a day like this for Marayong. Obviously not having Mubarak Saeed next week will be an issue. Still, we're going to go on here.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There was a lot of stoppages in the second half.
They're not looking too pretty.
Pons versus Quakers Hill Juniors tomorrow becomes a match where Pons must win to keep their finger on the pulse of this title charge. Blacktown Workers will have to recover next Saturday, 10 May, away to Doonside Hawks, who might just finally be finding their feet with their new 4-3-3. Marayong themselves will then have Quakers Hill Juniors, who have the 6-day turnaround, although that is enough time. Rivo will have the bye as Tigers take on Eastern Creek in what was a great game a couple of years ago. Hopefully it maintains now in Division 1.
Some big fixtures coming up. I think the Pons game tomorrow will be an interesting one for them to go towards. You know, they're going to try to nullify that top three, as they have been doing the last couple of years alongside Doonside, alongside Marayong. We're going to see a similar three, I think, at the top, considering the way that this game's panned out. But what are the other teams below them fighting maybe for that fourth spot have in store or want to achieve?
The question we have with the title and the table, right, is you have three that are competing for it, the big three. Right now I'm clocking Workers out of it, at least for the time being, until they sort of prove me wrong. But perhaps it's not a battle of Riverstone and Juniors for the bottom. Perhaps it's Riverstone and Juniors and Workers and Creek for that fourth spot, which, by the way, finally having a 14 final series is a great change that we're fortunate to have.
Definitely.
But if you look at the table from that perspective, it looks a whole lot more fun. And finally, the full-time whistle is blown nearly 8 minutes into added-on time. Marayong, as we knew from a couple of minutes into the second half, have put Workers to the sword. It's a fixture that they love. It always turns green. Only 2 points have ever been taken by Workers off of Marayong since they started meeting a couple of years ago. It was opened by Haloka, who later got his second goal when it became 4-1. Badat made it 1-1, also got a second goal himself. Ethan Kerrick's goal made it 2-1, and though technically that wasn't the winner, it was Michael Osei Adomako from the spots, who hopefully he's okay as he comes off here. Michael Cody with one of the goals of the day, because the goal of the day has to go to your striker, Ahmed Badat. What a performance by him. But back to the Danny McDougall drawing board here for Workers, I think.
I think so. It's a lot of... You've got to give credit to Marayong. They've really showed up today. They really showed what they're made of. They showed why they're the premiers, why they've been winning club championships, why they've been the best for so long. Proved today exactly that. And now they're 5 from 5. Workers, on the other hand, still got a bit of work to do now. they're going to have to really go back and really sort out what they need to do, how they want to play, what positions they want to play. But most importantly, where do they go from here? What do they want to do? How do they achieve a more reluctant sort of process going win after win after win?
Yeah. Maybe this season was not looked at in terms of a macro overarching level. Maybe it wasn't looked at as a week-to-week thing. Maybe they said that they wanted to just take one step at a time, but they came out on the podcast firing a couple of weeks ago and said, we want to be here, this is our level now. And I agreed with them in pre-season. I don't think I do anymore, though we still haven't seen them play at full strength yet, to be fair. But we're also not watching Marayong playing at full strength here, and if that's the case, it's a pretty big result. I still think the Ponds performance overall a couple of weeks ago was the more impressive one. And so credit to Ponds for putting on a show that day. But in terms of workers and where to go, a trip away to Doonside is not an easy one for them. We will discuss as the weeks go on how they recover from here. Our next match of the round is Glenwood and Oakville. I'm not sure how Glenwood went with their games today, but if they didn't get the points, it's a chance for them to get their first points against an Oakville team who are struggling, as we know, having gone down in both grades. The prospect, that will be a whole lot of fun for its own reasons, as it's two teams who were so good last year, trying to find where that form is in 2025. My friend Brandon Ford, thank you so much. I'm not sure if you're an unlucky charm at this point for your own old boys, but it's certainly been a difficult two showings for you, but certainly I really do appreciate the effort levels that you've put into this. It has been fantastic, and thank you very much for what you've done.
That's not a problem. It's been great to be on here, and I appreciate being on here. It's a privilege, like I've said, and it's pretty fun, and it's it's a lot of, it shows to show it's sort of the pathway around things. If you're not playing, there are other avenues, coaching, commentating, maybe, but it's been fun, and I really appreciate being on here.
Appreciate it, my friends, and these games and the 7 goals we got. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.